This is the review for the Chapter 6, Quiz 2. This covers reflections, rotations, and the combinations, so 6-5 to 6-7. So in reflections, remember that a reflection is a mirror opposite image. The biggest mistake that people make is not reading what axis it's being reflected over. The first thing that I would do is make that line darker. So it says the y-axis, this is your y-axis. The first thing that I would do is make that line darker. Remember, what you're doing is counting how many places to that line and then counting the same number of places away from the line. So starting at A is one place to the line. So we have to count one place away from the line. This is our new A prime. B is one place to the line, one place away from the line. So this is B prime. C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places away from the line. That's C prime. Connect your dots. You have that same size triangle, the same shape of triangle. It's just that flipped opposite mirror image. When you go to do your coordinates, remember that we always start counting from right in the middle. So where is A prime? Now, when you do your coordinates, remember your first number is how many you go over. Your second number is how many you go up or down. So when we go to A prime, we're starting in the middle. We go over to -1, down to -1. B prime, over to -1, starting at that green dot, down to -3. So -1, -3. C prime, starting in the middle, over to -5, down to -2. So we drew our new shape, we labeled it with primes, and we wrote down the coordinates. In number 2, this time we're doing a reflection over the x-axis. The very first thing that I would do is make that x-axis darker. That's what you're counting to and counting the same number of places from. So starting at D, D is one place to the line, so D prime is one place away from the line. E is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places away from the line. This is E prime. F is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places away from the line is F prime. Connect your dots. There's your new shape. Again, it's that flipped opposite mirror image. Same size, same shape. If we folded our paper right along the x-axis, those two shapes would match up perfectly. So starting in the middle for our coordinates, starting in the middle, D prime is over to -1, up to +1. E prime, starting in the middle, over to -3, up to +5. F prime, starting in the middle, over to -1, up to +5. And we're done. We drew it, we labeled it, and we wrote down the coordinates. Sometimes you won't have to do it over the X or Y axis. Sometimes they will have a line there for you already. In question number 3, this is a diagonal line. In a diagonal line, what you want to do is instead of counting to the left or right or up or down, you're counting diagonally, corner to corner, to the line, diagonally, corner to corner, away from the line. So starting at G, G is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places diagonally, corner to corner to the line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places diagonally, corner to corner away from the line. This is G prime. H is 1, 2.5. All right, sometimes you only go a half. So it's 2.5 places diagonally, corner to corner to the line, a half, 1, and 2 away from the line. So we end up right here. This is our new H prime. I is 1, 2, 3 places diagonally, corner to corner to the line, 1, 2, 3 places diagonally, corner to corner away from the line. This is I prime. Connect your dots, and again, you get that flipped opposite mirror image. We could fold it and they would match up perfectly. So when we go to start counting our coordinates, we got to start right in the middle at 0, 0. G prime is over to 5 down to -5. H prime starting in the middle over to 3 down to -2. And I prime starting in the middle over to 2 down to -4. In number 4, this time we have a random vertical line. Again, we want to count to the line, how many spaces to the line, and then that same number away. J is 1 place to it, so J prime is 1 place away from it. K is 1 place to it, so K prime is 1 place away from it. L is 1, 2, 3 places to it, 1, 2, 3 places away from it is L prime. Connect your dots. Again, you have that flipped opposite mirror image. We could fold our paper right along that line and it would match up perfectly. When we go to do our coordinates, we want to start right in the middle. So J prime is over to -4, up to +5. K prime starting in the middle over to -4, up to +1. L prime over to -6. Now this is -6. It comes right after -5. So over to -6, up to +1. So those were our reflections. You'll have one of each of those on your quiz. This one could be number 4 could be a random horizontal line instead of a vertical line. You still do the same thing. Count how many places to it and count that same number away from it. Now, in question number 5, you have to do a 90 degrees clockwise rotation, a 180, and a 90 degrees counterclockwise. So your A primes are your 90 degrees clockwise. All right, your 90 degrees clockwise are your primes. Your 180 is your double primes, and your 90 degrees counterclockwise is your triple primes. So again, what you want to do is you want to take your original picture and you want to turn your paper. So you're going to do, I would find all 9 coordinates first and then go back and draw your 3 pictures. So 90 degrees clockwise, we're going to turn our paper 90 degrees clockwise. So the top is over to the right. When we turn our paper, the numbers are not correct anymore. All right. Anytime you turn your paper, the numbers are not correct. You have to remember that positive numbers go up, positive numbers go over to the right. Negative numbers go down and negative numbers go over to the left. That's what you have to keep in mind. So you have to ignore the numbers on your paper. Take a look at A. A looks like it's over to 6 and down to 3, but it's not over to 6 and down to 3. Over to 6 is correct. But remember, anytime that we go down, down is always negative. So we're going over to 6 down to -3. B looks like it's over to 2 down to 1, but it's not down to 1, it's down to -1. And then C is over to 2 down to 5, but it's not 5, it's -5. So those are our 3 coordinates. The next thing that I would suggest doing is turning your paper 180. 180 is, I lost my C, hold on. 180 is completely upside down. So when we turn our paper completely upside down, it looks like this. So where are our coordinates now? A looks like it's over to 3 and down to 6, but it's not over to 3 down to 6. We're going over to -3 because negative is over to the left. And then we're going down to -6. So we're going over to -3, down to -6. B looks like it's at 1, 2, over to 1, down to 2. But over to the left is negative and down is negative. So it's over to -1, down to -2. And then C looks like it's over to 5, down to 2. It's not over to 5, it's over to -5, over to the left. And anytime we go down, down is always negative. So it's down to -2. Third thing that I would do is I would turn my paper 90 degrees counterclockwise. 90 degrees counterclockwise is facing with the top over to the left. So again, we're going to take a look at where these are. A, it looks like it's over to 6 up to 3. It's not over to 6 though. Anytime we go over to the left is negative. So that's really over to -6 up to +3. B, looks like it's over to 2 up to 1. It's not over to 2, it's over to -2. And then C looks like it's over to 2 up to 5. It's not over to 2, it's over to -2. Now that we have our coordinates, now we want to turn our paper back to normal and we want to graph those points. All right. When we go to graph 90 degrees clockwise, we are going over to 6 and down to -3. This is A prime. Make sure that you label it. B prime is over to 2 down to -1. C prime is over to 2 down to -5. So this is our 90 degrees clockwise rotation. Notice the single primes. For the double primes, all right, for the double primes. So -3, -6, over to 3, down to -6. This is B double prime, or sorry, this is A double prime. B double prime, over to -1, down to -2. And C double prime, over to -5, down to -2. And there's our double prime triangle. For our triple prime triangle, our 90 degrees counterclockwise rotation, over to -6, up to +3, that's A triple prime. -2, 1, over to -2, up to +1, that's B triple prime. And over to -2, up to +5, that's C triple prime. And there's our 90 degrees clockwise rotation. Notice how our triangle is turning. When we go to do a 90 degrees clockwise, notice that it's turning one quadrant clockwise. Notice that when we do a 90 degrees counterclockwise, it's one quadrant backwards, it's backwards clock. And then when we do 180, notice that we're turning one quadrant, two quadrant. Notice it turns completely upside down. It should create this pinwheel effect, right, where you get one in each quadrant. The next type of question. You have to identify your transformations in combinations. So remember that a translation slides a picture. Doesn't make it bigger or smaller, just slides it to a new location. A dilation makes it bigger or smaller. A reflection is that mirror opposite image. And a rotation turns a picture. So when we take a look at these, we need to do three things to this picture, right? We need to draw the new picture following the rule. We need to label it with primes. Notice it says the first image with A prime, B prime, C prime, the second image with double primes. So when we take a look at number 6, the very first thing that it says to do is a translation of right 5 up 6. So a translation slides a picture. So I'm going to start at A and I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or sorry, 5 and up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's my new A prime. Then I'm going to go to B and I'm going to go right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's my new B prime. And then starting at C, right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my new C prime. That's half of your question. Now, the other half of the question says to do a reflection over the x-axis. We're done with this shape, all right? We're done with the original shape. To do your second thing here, to do our double prime, we need to use our single prime shape. So I need to do a reflection over the x-axis for this red shape. So reflection over the x, I'm going to make my x-axis darker, and I'm going to do a reflection. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to that line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places away from the line. This is A double prime. B is 1 place to it, 1 place away from it is B double prime. C is 1 place to it, 1 place away from it. That is C double prime. And there's my new shape. So this was my first shape that I started off with. This was my original shape. Then I went to here with my translation. Then I went to here with my reflection. So you should end up with 3 shapes. Make sure that you label the first one with single primes. Make sure that you label the second one with double primes. So in question number 7, the first thing that I want to do, I have to do, all right, following the order that it says, I have to do a rotation of 180, and then I have to do a dilation of 3. So a rotation of 180, I need to take and I need to turn my paper upside down. When I turn my paper upside down, and I'm just going to make little notes over to the side where A prime, B prime, and C prime are. A prime, starting in the middle, over to -1, down to -2. It looks like it's 1, 2, but it's not. Anytime you go to the left is negative. Anytime you go down, down is negative. B prime, it looks like it's -1, 0, or it looks like it's 1, 0, but it's not. It's -1, 0, because anytime you go over to the left, that's negative. And then C is -2, 0. I'm going to take it, I'm going to turn my paper back to normal. So I take and turn my paper back to normal. And now I'm going to graph that translation right away, right? I'm doing the rotation, or I'm doing the rotation of 180. So -1, -2. This is A prime. -1, 0. This is B prime. And -2, 0. This is C prime. So here's my shape. Now that I did that, now I need to do the dilation of 3. Well, when you do a dilation, you need to know the coordinates. Notice that I have my coordinates right here. Since I'm doing a dilation of 3, I need to multiply everything by 3. So I'm going to take all of these and multiply by 3. So -1 times 3 is -3. -2 times 3 is -6. That's going to be my new A double prime. -1 times 3 is -3. 0 times 3 is 0. That's going to be my new B double prime. -2 times 3 is -6. 0 times 3 is 0. So that's going to be my new C double prime. Over to -3, down to -6. This is my new A double prime. -3, 0. This is going to be my new B double prime. And -6, 0. Unfortunately, I sort of wrote in it, but it's right here. This is my new C double prime. Connect the dots, and you end up with the bigger shape. Notice that it is 3 times the size. It's 3 times bigger. So our prime triangle was 1 unit long. Now it's 3. It was 2 units high. Now it's 6 units high. The last types of questions that you're going to have to do is you're going to be given pictures and you need to recognize what transformation it is. Now, be very careful of a question like this. A lot of people will look at this one and they'll go, hey, this is a reflection. It's that flipped mirror image. However, you have to pay special attention sometimes to the letters, right? If this was a reflection, which it's not, if this was a reflection, the letters would match up perfectly. Notice that the C prime is matching up with the D, and the C is matching up with the D prime. This is not a reflection. Notice that the A and B aren't matching up either, right? This is actually being turned, all right? This is actually being turned like this. So this is actually a rotation of 90 degrees clockwise. You have to be very careful sometimes. You really have to stop and look at the letters. So here's the type of question that you're going to have. So again, we want to go from our original picture without any of the primes, without any of the apostrophes, to our single prime picture, to our double prime picture. So to get from triangle 1 to triangle 2, I can see that the triangle is being turned. Since the triangle is being turned, this has to be a rotation. We are turning it 1 quadrant. So I know that it's 90 degrees. Anytime you move 1 quadrant, it's 90. If you would move 2, it would be 180. And now what direction did we go? Well, we went from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock to 12 to 1. So that is clockwise. You can't just say a rotation. You can't just say a rotation of 90. You have to be specific and say rotation 90 degrees clockwise. Now I will need to figure out, how do I get from triangle number 2 to triangle number 3? We're done with this triangle, right? We're done with triangle number 1. So how do you get from 2 to 3? I can see that it is a flipped opposite mirror image. So I'm going to put the word then. How do I get from 2 to 3? It is a flipped opposite mirror image. So it is a reflection. It is more specifically, a reflection over the x-axis. You have to say what axis it's being over. If it goes up and down like this, it's over the x-axis. If it would go side to side, that would be the y-axis. The biggest mistake that people make on these is not being specific. If you just write on your quiz rotation then reflection, it's going to be marked wrong. You have to have the specifics in there. And for the last question, again, we want to go from the no prime triangle to the single prime to the double prime triangle. So I can see going from triangle number 1 to triangle number 2, it's getting smaller. Since it's getting smaller, it has to be a dilation. Now, how can you figure out how much the dilation is? Well, I can see that my original triangle is 2 units tall. Now it's 1 unit tall. It was 4 units long. Now it's 2 units long. Some people can just look at that and know that it has to be of 1/2, because triangle 2 is half the size of the original. Another way to do it is to take a look at the coordinates. Just choose a letter. A is really 2, 4. A prime is really not a double prime, a single prime. A prime is really 1, 2. How do you get from A to A prime? Well, 1 is half of a 2 and 2 is half of 4. So it has to be a dilation of 1/2. Now to get from triangle 2 to 3, I can see that I'm sliding the picture. So it has to be a translation. Again, you have to be specific. How do you get from A prime to A double prime? I'm going left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down 1, 2, 3. So left 5, down 3. You could have picked any letter there as long as you go from the single prime to the double prime. So be very, very careful there. So again, what is the only transformation that changes its size? That is a dilation, changes its size. What is the only picture that turns a picture? That is a rotation. What transformation flips a picture? That is a reflection. And what slides a picture? That is a translation. One last little clue about these questions at the end, all right? If you forget what is supposed to go after the word, like of 1/2 or left 5, down 3, or 90 degrees clockwise, x-axis, just look back to questions 7 and 6, all right? You're doing the exact opposite thing. They have examples of what your rule should look like there in number 7 and in number 6, all right? Just look at what goes with what.